Welcome in, guys. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We are here tonight to talk about Bama and Georgia, Ole Miss and Kentucky, and so much more.
Can I please have your attention?
It's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
Let them yap at you.
It's actually very exciting.
Hey, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. We are here tonight to do our Big Fuss show. This is week 6 of college football already. And I've got John Hammonds here with me tonight. What's up, Hammonds?
What's up, man?
Hey, man. So it's week 6 already, man. I mean, it seems like college football season's flying by. But we're through 5 full weeks of college football. And last week, man, like there was some pretty good games on.
Yeah, you had Alabama, Georgia, which we'll get to. Alabama jumped out to a 28-0 lead. Georgia coming back. You had Kentucky going into Oxford and upsetting Ole Miss. You had Colorado going to UCF and putting a hunker down.
That was a big one too. Yeah.
You had Utah losing to Arizona without Cam Rising. And then you had Michigan struggling again with Minnesota. They're Michigan is not Michigan from a year ago. Let's just put it that way.
No, definitely not from a year ago for sure.
And there was a play in there I would like to talk about later in the show, the onside kick that really changed the game for Minnesota. They called it an illegal procedure when I felt like it wouldn't. That pretty much gifted Michigan the game. So we have a lot to talk about, which is usually the norm on the Big Fuss show.
Yep. All right. So before we get started, let's talk about our Facebook page. If you're watching us on our Facebook page, you can help support us by sending stars, or you can help support us by subscribing to our page. It's only 99 cents a month, and it does give you guys your own College Sports subscribers page when you do that. So either way, that helps us to earn a little bit of money each month to help continue to make more content for you guys. So we appreciate that. At the bottom of the screen, you will see our partners and sponsors listed. So we have WSBN TV Channel 30, the Real Fresh Channel, and Home Field Apparel and True Victory. And that will scroll on the bottom of the screen for at least part of the show. So we're going to start out with what I think was basically the best and biggest game of the week last week, and that was Georgia at Alabama. And the first quarter in this game, John, I think shocked the entire world. I mean, it was pretty shocking, to be honest with you. The first quarter of this game was, they were down 21-0. I think after the end of the first quarter, it got to 28-0 early in the second. And I'm talking Bama jumped up on top of Georgia 28-0 to start this game out. And it looked like they were just going to blow the damn doors off of the Dogs early on. And finally, the Dogs kind of found their footing. I think in the second half, they made quite a few adjustments and slowed down Bama's offense, after halftime. So, what'd you think about how the game started? I mean, it was pretty shocking.
They was slicing through Georgia's defense like a slice of butter. Drives of 70, 84 yards, 67 yards. The opening barrage sent a statement to the college football world that Nick Saban may be gone, but Alabama isn't going anywhere. they're still going to be Alabama. And that was proof Saturday night. You know, you had Georgia coming back. They got within a touchdown, and then they took the lead. And then Ryan Williams, if you don't know who this kid is by now.
But Georgia just fighting back and taking the lead with 2 minutes and plus to go in this game was absolutely astonishing in itself. This was like 2 games in one. This game was Saturday night. I mean, you know, it was like 2 games in one. And then, like you said, man, I mean, Ryan Williams, the play he made at the end was insane. I mean, for a 17-year-old kid to be able to make that kind of play on that kind of stage in that game where 14.1 million people were watching that game at one time, which is the most watched, you know, regular season game in a while. Let's put it that way. Yeah. And, you know, for Ryan to make a play like that, it was just insane, to be honest.
Well, it wasn't so much the fact that he made the game-winning play. It's how he made it. He catches it, and he turns around, and he has both the Georgia defenders bumping into each other. Like, they're literally like colliding. Like, it's like he's floating in midair. And he goes for and you have to watch the replay to understand what I'm saying. And then there was one before that, I think might have been early in the first half, where he tips the ball up in the air to himself, and he goes and he does a spin move. I mean, this kid's an athletic freak, and he's only 17 years old. And in which he and Jeremiah Smith, the other player from Ohio State, he made 2 unbelievable catches in the Ohio State-Michigan State game. These 2 wide receivers are the future of college football. And you saw that on the big stage Saturday night. And what an unbelievable game, what an unbelievable win for Alabama. Last year, I think this game would have been kind of hurt Georgia in a way, because it would kind of maybe knock them out. But now that you got the 12-team playoff, I think this game is more of a, you know, let's wake up, let's figure things out and get back to work and get back into the race, and which they ended up dropping to number 4 this week. Alabama moved up to number 1. So there's still a lot of –
So I kind of think moving up to number 1 for Bama, I kind of think that's a little premature. I mean, it's a great win. I do think that they probably have the best win now, probably. But, I mean, Texas has played and looked really good, and they went to number 1 a couple of weeks ago after the Kentucky-Georgia game. And I don't think that one game was enough for them to jump Texas. That's just my personal opinion.
Well,
but I do understand them moving up to, you know, 2 or so.
To be fair, Texas did at times Saturday. They had some struggles with Mississippi State before pulling away. Mississippi State, I felt like, played really good defense early, but they kind of pulled away. I think a lot of it has to do with, I don't know. I don't look at these rankings this early, because most of these rankings, I tell people, it's just for fan interactions. It's for fans to argue about and to talk amongst themselves. I don't think it really matters right out of the gate in the first week of October. Now, if this was early in November, late November going into Thanksgiving, I can understand where those rankings would be. But you're in the first week of October. And by the way, Brad, for everybody that don't know, today's his birthday. Happy birthday to you.
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday, Brad.
Day today. So if you're watching, it is my birthday today. Yeah. Thank you, man. You know, my thing here with Georgia, the way they played and the way they started and the turnovers that they had, because despite them getting back in this game and taking lead, I know for sure they had at least 4 turnovers. They had 3 interceptions and a fumble by Beck. At least 4 turnovers in this game, and getting down 28-0, 30-7. Are you worried about this Georgia team at all? I mean, do you think this Georgia team? Do you think Kirby Smart should be a little worried about this Georgia team?
I mean, there's some issues there, especially like up front. Not having Tate Rutledge was a big loss, I thought, for the offensive line. Their secondary got bent, plumb out of shape, Swiss cheese. Their front four, to me, their front four is not as good as it has been, but they still got some elite guys out there. Stackhouse, Michael Williams on the edge. They still got some guys out there that are really elite, but it's not the normal Georgia defenses that we're accustomed to, because it kind of shocked me Saturday night. Because
and you look at their schedule, John.
Well, I mean, it just kind of shocked me Saturday night.
You look at Georgia's schedule.
When they went out, when Alabama goes up 28-0, I'm sitting here thinking they've just scored 28 on this Georgia defense. Like, that's not usually the norm when it comes to a Georgia defense. And to me, I felt like, it was I wouldn't say it's an anomaly, but Georgia can't have another game like that where they're having to fight from behind and scratch, because it's going to lead to possibly missing the whole playoffs altogether, which I don't think they're going to play another team as good as Bama, except maybe Texas, on the rest of their schedule. To me, they play Texas.
I mean, they got Tennessee. They got Texas.
But I mean, the level of offense that Alabama is going to give, I don't think there's nobody as great offensively as Alabama.
They play Ole Miss. They still play Ole Miss as well.
I think Alabama's offense is better than Ole Miss's, I think they got the better quarterback.
I'm just saying that's some pretty good offensive teams when you look at Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Texas.
Well, I'm not disagreeing
especially
with
years back.
I think Alabama,
that's pretty good offensive teams.
I think them having Ryan Williams changes the whole dynamics. Ryan Williams is a game changer for them. Not many people have a Ryan Williams on their roster.
Is that Nick Saban's parting? Is that Nick Saban's parting gift to Alabama?
It has to be
for the next 3 years.
It has to be.
I think it might be, seriously. That's Saban's parting gift to Alabama. Here you go, guys. As I walk out the door, here is a receiver like Alabama's never seen before, ever. They've had some decent ones over the last 10 years, but man alive, this kid is supposed to be a senior in high school, and he looks like he has been playing college ball for 3 years already at Bama.
Yeah. I will say that the kid from Washington
on the biggest stage,
Jeremy Bernard, ain't bad either. They got a real nice set of skill groups at the wide receiver position that Jalen Milroe can put up in the air and do some damage with.
Oh, absolutely. 100% they do. And Georgia's corners and backs are some of the best in the nation, and they made them look bad on Saturday night.
They sliced and diced.
Still, out of all that, John, my biggest concerns, I know they gave up the points and stuff, but the 4 turnovers by Beck, that's
concerning.
Not like you can't have that. You can't have that again.
No.
I mean, not 4 turnovers in a game.
It's concerning.
So, I know Georgia only fell to 4 or 5 in the poll, something like that.
Yeah. 4, I believe.
But I think there's some concern there if you are a Georgia Bulldog fan, I believe, after this game. All right, John, we get to talk about Kentucky football on the Big Fuss Show. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's not very often.
We only talk about the best and the biggest games and stuff like that. Yeah, we only talk about the best and the biggest games and stuff like that. So Kentucky goes into Oxford and plays at the Grove and comes out with a win 20 and holds this Mississippi team to 17 points and comes out with a win in Oxford. A huge program-changing win, to be honest with you. It is the first road victory versus a top 10 team since 1977 for the Cats.
Yeah, I mean, confusing.
And look at here. Right as I'm talking about my Ole Miss game, look who shows up.
Yo. Can y'all hear me?
And Jason to get acquainted here and get in, but I had to pull him up since we're talking about Ole Miss and Kentucky game.
How's that crow taste today?
All right, Heavens.
Well, I mean, it was confusing to me, impossible to predict what Kentucky would do because, they lost by 25 to South Carolina. They barely lost to Georgia. Then they, came in and they beat Mississippi. They was trailing 17-13 with about 5 minutes to go in the game. And Mark Stoops just grabs basically a ball sack and says, I'm going to do this on 4th and 7 and throws a go route to Barry and Brown. And it gets it down to about the 30-yard line. And they end up getting into scoring position. And then on top of that, they had a fumble that Josh Caddis, I don't know how he ended up with the ball, comes up and the ball comes into his hands. But I'm going to say something that really gets to me on this last Ole Miss possession. Jason can chime in on this one too. I felt like Lane Kiffin was very conservative on that drive. He really never tried to push the ball down the field. He was settling for a field goal, basically. And I felt like that was the wrong idea. You still had 2 minutes to go in the game.
The 40-some yard play.
Yeah, and basically –
because they had like a 40-some yard bomb.
Well, and then you had a minute to go, and you still had, first down, second down? Like, you can still make a play towards the end zone. Instead, Jackson Dart gets sacked, and then we have an offside penalty, which they ended up fumbling the ball and we receiving it. But then they threw a little screen out to the running back, which that didn't make a lot of sense to me. On 4th and 9, 3rd and 7, something. And they set up for the field goal. I just felt like that whole drive, Lane Kiffin was playing conservative and he wasn't playing for the win. He was playing to go to overtime. And to me, I think that's why they lost the game.
Are you waiting for me to chime in?
Yeah, I was going to. Yeah.
Okay, Jason.
Man,
how'd you like that game? How'd you like that game?
All right. Let me give you guys the scenario. It was just 15, 20 minutes ago. So I just got in for football practice, and I'm talking. And I go to sit on my throne. All men know what a throne is. I go to sit on my throne to unwind, and then I look at my phone. You know the text message I see? Brad. Hey, the invite's been sent. And I was like, man, listen, what's going to be the chances that I get on the show?
Listen,
and they
I
already
bragged
done.
you.
Wait a minute. But talking about this topic. I'm late. I'm later than I normally am. And they're going to be done talking about this topic. And so I get my laptop. And the first thing I see when I'm backstage is Kentucky at Ole Miss. I said, boy, look at the universe working against me. But now I didn't see.
Started with Georgia and Bama.
I didn't see the game. I I was at my son's football game, but that didn't stop my threads from going off. What's up with Ole Miss? I'm looking at the score because I didn't want to hear about the score. I said I'm gonna watch it later. And so I knew something wasn't right when my phone just kept going off. Ding, ding, ding. I was like, man, do not tell me Kentucky is in the ball game. We should be blowing Kentucky out. We should be. So I didn't know, but I did tell someone in a group chat. I was like, look, one thing that scares me about Kentucky is they will play some defense. They might not, offense may not show up, but that defense has been showing up, even though they got blown out. But the defense can only hold for so long if the offense doesn't do anything. But on this particular day, they held Ole Miss. Man, all I heard on my timeline was Cupcake City. We told you that schedule y'all were playing was Cupcake City. Didn't get you ready. Hey, it did. But if it was a loss that we needed to have before final stretch, Kentucky should have came in and beat us. And that's what they did. I don't know. I seen highlights, so I'm not going to act like I watched the game. It wasn't an Ole Miss type game. It was a Kentucky game. Kentucky, I don't know if they held the ball or they sustained drive.
Kentucky absolutely dictated that game from
Kentucky game.
Yeah, Kentucky absolutely dictated the entire game.
Yeah,
John, you were talking about that last drive, but Kentucky did that to them the entire game.
They did, and even on offense, the time of possession was double to none for Ole Miss. They mucked the game up. They basically done like in basketball terms, like Texas A&M defensively against the Kentucky offense that can score. They basically mucked the game up to give them a chance at the end of the game, and that's what happened. And there's certain teams you have to do that against. Tennessee will probably be another one. So does it work? Yeah, it can work, but you got to hit
John,
on some.
Before, and Coleman asked me, how are we going to win at Ole Miss next week? And if you remember, I told him, you've got to muck the game up. You got to play good defense. You've got to play your way. You got to play Stoops ball and muck that game up, slow them down, keep time of possession. I said all of those things, and that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what happened. And I'm still kind of astonished that they actually
well, and I say that, and I say that too, Jason. And I say that too, Jason, with the mucking it up. The thing about mucking a game up on offense and defense is you put the other team out of their normal offensive rhythm. You're forcing them to do things that's not what their normal game plan and prep is. Now you got teams like Georgia Southern and these others that played with them. They tried to run up and down the field with them. That's not going to work against a team like Mississippi and trying to go up and down the field because they're going to play into that advantage. You're going to have to keep them off the field. And then when they get on the field, you're going to have to force them to make mistakes, force them to hurry the ball out. And that's what Kentucky did. And they mucked the game up to the point to where they ended up winning and basically saved their year, because now you got Vanderbilt coming up after the bye week this week. You got Florida on the road, and then you come home and play Auburn, which I want to be honest with you. Those are 3 winnable games, and you could be 6-2 heading to Tennessee in the top 25 with a showdown with the Vols. And from being 2-3 to being there and having that possibility and changing your postseason changes the whole dynamics of the year. And I think for Ole Miss the other side,
it absolutely does.
Well, and I think on the Ole Miss side of things now, you got to get back to work. You got to figure things out. I read today where Ole Miss said that they had a team meeting on Sunday to work things out offensively and to figure things out. And I think you can't let one loss turn into two. You go to South Carolina, which is a really improved team. Their defense they might have the top two best front four defensive linemen in the country next to Kentucky. And you're going into a hostile environment in Columbia, South Carolina this week. And you got to come on, you got to turn it on yet again because you go from Kentucky to South Carolina on the road. So Ole Miss don't have no sleep between now and Saturday. So they got to figure things out really quick.
Yeah, they got to figure it out, man, because going to South Carolina is no easy. This is the heart of the SEC schedule right now. You know, I just happened to look on the ticker because I was watching the game as well, the women's game, and at the bottom it had college football. I seen Tennessee going to Arkansas. I see Georgia playing somebody. I mean, it's a lot of matchups this weekend in the SEC. I mean, that's what it's all about, man. So you get into the thick of things. I'm glad Ole Miss is 12. All we gotta do is try to win out to stay in that playoff hunt. Yeah, but
Brad's looking at him like, oh goodness.
I'm like, man, it's rough over here, man. I did not want to face YouTube today. I'm just gonna be honest. I did not want to face YouTube. I had so much to say the other day before I get off. Like, hey, I might try to. I'm glad I didn't go down there. If I would have went down, oh my goodness, man, look here. I almost called for Hugh Freeze to be back down in Oxford. I was so mad. Like, oh my God.
Yeah, man. Like it was surprising. It's a great win for Kentucky, great win for Stoops. And Ole Miss does have to figure some things out because South Carolina is not going to be an easy one. And they got to go down there and show that their offense is what everybody thought their offense was. So, you know, that's going to be a big one for them this coming week. Kentucky does have a bye week, so they're off this week. But our next topic, guys, and this was going to be kind of offbeat a little bit here, but there's some unheralded, unbeaten teams in college football and some teams that we normally don't talk about here on College Sportscast. And Indiana, Duke, BYU, Army, and Navy are all still unbeaten.
That's tough right there.
Them first two, is this
19 unbeaten teams left in college football.
This ain't basketball, is it?
Right.
Indiana,
Exactly.
Duke, I mean, come on.
No, we're talking football here. Indiana, Duke, BYU. Yeah. You know, so, John, I wanted to kind of give you, first of all, you can talk about Indiana and Duke, but I want to ask you, it's been since 1945 that the services, Army and Navy, have been undefeated this late in the season. Since 1945.
That's pretty amazing, to be honest. And I think now, if the season gets to where it, you know, Army should be playing Notre Dame for a big game later in the year. We're not just talking Army Notre Dame. We're talking
Absolutely.
Army Navy. Army Navy could be playing for a whole lot more than just their records. Like be playing for a big bowl game. This might be the biggest Army Navy game we've had in a few years. It might be the most watched that we've had in a few years. So shout out to them. Shout out to Duke. Shout out to Indiana. Everybody thought that when Riley Leonard left for Notre Dame, that they was going to kind of drop off Elko, but they haven't. Manny Diaz has went in there, and he's had a game plan, and he's done what he said he was going to do. So they're 5-0. Indiana's 5-0. The one that really
and they had a big comeback. They had a big comeback last week.
The one that really shocks me though
Duke
is
did
is
against
BYU.
North Carolina.
I didn't think BYU was going to be this good, to be honest. They had lost some pieces, but they're coming on and doing really good. They're even in the hunt for the Big 12 championship. Start to say tournament. I'm thinking about basketball already, but
Yep.
they're in the hunt for the Big 12 championship, and now that Oklahoma State has already lost 2 games, they're in a prime position to battle Kansas State and those teams in the Big 12, and I think BYU is good enough to do that.
I'm just shocked, man.
And what about this Indiana team?
Yeah, Indiana's really good. I call them James Madison of the North because basically, Bill, to be fair,
Absolutely.
Cam Rising's out. Without Cam Rising, this isn't a great football team. He said, "Boy, was I wrong about Utah? They're just not great without Cam. They're just not." With Cam Rising, they're probably a top 20, 15 team. They're just not great. They're just not great without him. It's a tough situation. But which Wilson's good, but I don't think he's not even on the level of Cam Rising is.
Let me ask you real quick though about this Indiana team. They're sitting 5-0, and they have a winnable game this week. I mean, you're looking at a very high possibility, I think, of them setting 6-0 in the Big Ten. Do they have a shot here of like shocking the entire nation and being in the conversation to make the championship game out of the Big Ten?
Well, I mean, anything's possible. I mean, they play, is it Northwestern this weekend? They play Northwestern, and then they play Nebraska, which is another winnable game. Then they play Washington at home. They don't really play Ohio State until the end of the year, them and Michigan back-to-back. But there's a good chance they could be 8-0 going into Michigan State game at Sparty. There's a real good opportunity here. And Rourke, the quarterback for Indiana, is really, really good. Now, Maryland did things Saturday. Indiana didn't play the crispest defense Saturday. They struggled defensively a little bit. Maryland made some big plays, but they made stops when they needed to.
They had some turnovers.
They had some turnovers. I think that's going to have to stop when you play teams like Nebraska, the teams that are better in the Big Ten, teams like Ohio State, Michigan, even Michigan State. Michigan State got whipped Saturday against Ohio State, but they still hung with Ohio State for at least 2 quarters. That lower end of the Big Ten is still improved, whether we want to look at it or not, like with Nebraska, Michigan State. So, but they got a chance this weekend to really go into Northwestern and beat them and put a name for themselves. And there's a good chance that, maybe even 2 losses could slip them in there if somebody was to lose, or maybe 1 loss, because there's a good chance they could beat Michigan. The Michigan game's at home.
Yeah,
that would be a big game for Michigan or
right.
for Indiana. Well, I don't disagree, Bill, but I've always been told you play the schedule you play.
So, Jason, this is not teams that,
Bill says if it was the SEC, but
this is not teams that we normally see and talk about. Hang on. This is not teams we normally talk about, Jason. So, I mean, I wanted to throw them in here. Being undefeated this far into the season, I mean, you just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I am still shocked looking at this lineup of undefeated teams. Now, BYU, I've been watching them. I canceled their games late. But Indiana and Duke, and with Duke just losing their quarterback going to Notre Dame, I didn't think they was going to sustain any success by losing the coach and the quarterback. So the guy at Duke is doing a wonderful job. But yeah, but this is the meat of the schedule. A lot of teams won't be unbeaten anymore. A lot of teams other than these 5 teams you got right here. The Army and Navy's gonna cancel themselves out eventually. But yeah, I'm like you, John, man. Hey, I would love to see that Indiana and Michigan game. That's gonna be a game which all the bookies are gonna make a lot of money on that game. Because if Indiana can do what Indiana's been doing and pull out that upset, that's gonna throw a huge monkey wrench.
And I'll even go as far as saying that if Indiana say they stay undefeated till then, that might be the biggest home crowd in Indiana history. That will pile into that stadium. That place will be a rocking. It will be biggest, probably the biggest home game they've had in a long time.
All right, guys. I'm going to let Howie Fresh do a little bit of talking here about the Real Fresh channel and let him talk for just a second here.
You need new entertainment. You need full-length content. You need the Real Fresh channel. Hey, I'm Howie Fresh from the Real Fresh channel. Subscribe today on YouTube. We have new content. We are a network of podcasters putting out new stuff every single day. Whether you need sports, pro or college, whether you need comedies, whether you need pop culture, whether you need wrestling. We've got so much content on there. Gaming. Check it out. Live, not live. We've got it all. The Real Fresh channel. Subscribe today.
The Real Fresh channel, we appreciate him. He is now on College SportsCast, and we are on the Real Fresh channel for each show that we do as well. Check him out. He does right now right before we come on, he's doing NFL game picks and a show on that. Him and Big Luke. So check them out. Also, we are on WSB and TV channel 30 through the BoxCast app. So check us out there as well. You can find us on Roku, Apple. All right. So with all that said, those are kind of some of the games that I wanted to talk about. I've got a few topics here. This is our debate show. So I got a few topics here that I want us to talk about. Is the ACC bad or good? Because I'm kind of thinking, man, I mean, Miami this week had a bad play to survive. I mean, I'm not sure what you call that play, and who knows what it really should have been. But, you know, to survive with Virginia Tech, who the first game of this year, Vanderbilt beat, by the way. And Miami is a top 5, top 10 team in the country right now. Yes, they're 5-0, but
I think
Louisville
really
got beat by Notre Dame. I mean, who just lost to Northern Illinois? Notre Dame, by the way.
I think if you look at it from a perspective, you know, Clemson's probably the best team in this conference, but we really don't know a lot about Clemson. I mean, they lost to Georgia 34-3, you know, and beyond that, they've improved, you know, but they've won the games that they're supposed to. But now you got teams like Duke, Miami, Boston College is up there. SMU is actually playing really well, which Louisville lost this weekend. But you got Florida State down at the bottom. And I don't even want – I told Brad this before the show. I don't even want to discuss that game against SMU. That was the most embarrassing game I've ever seen a FSU team look, probably ever. That was just flat, just embarrassing from top to bottom. Offensively, defensively.
They got whipped.
And not by a really great team. SMU,
I mean, they got whipped. There's no other way around it.
We could be talking about Duke.
And now you got Clemson and Florida State game this week.
Basically,
Does anybody actually care about that game? I mean, seriously.
I mean, it's a rivalry game.
I mean,
I think
I'm
that
just being honest.
I said 2 weeks ago that
Nationally, is anybody going to tune into that game?
I don't know. I know I said Clemson was done, I think about 2 weeks ago, because they didn't adapt to the times. And now you throwing Duke into this. Miami still is the best team in the ACC, even though and you got to remember, they had to go on the road. They had to go the road. The road is still the road now. Miami's probably one of the hottest teams in the country. They probably got the Heisman front runner, who's leading all votes, in my opinion. He had to have one of those Heisman moments to even win that game.
They still didn't look good this past week.
Well,
That
I
was
would
a
take an
home
ugly
game.
win.
That was a
I'll
home
take
game.
an ugly win over a pretty loss, Brad. I'll take an ugly win over a pretty loss now.
That was a home game, Jason.
It was a home game?
Yeah, Miami, it was at home, yeah.
That's even worse. Then you're right, Brad. It didn't look good.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah, it was
But if we're-
not
but
a
if we're
good
being-
look, man. It really
but if we're
wasn't. Now,
being fair, if we're being
Cam
fair, though,
played
Jason,
okay. I mean, okay.
if we're being fair, though, Jason, Virginia Tech has not looked that great at home. They've looked better on the road than they have at home, because they had, I don't think they looked that great against Rutgers, which Rutgers is better, but is Rutgers really that great? I mean,
It was a controversial play at the end of that game, correct? That's what I heard.
it was a Hail Mary. It was a Hail Mary. And
did he actually catch the ball, you guys' opinion?
I thought he did, but
that could have been caught. It looks like it could have been, but it was in a crowd. I never really seen any close-ups. I don't really know, to be honest.
Gotcha.
It was back of the end zone. I'm really not sure. I can't really state one way or another, to be honest.
But the ACC is
All
not that good.
Jason, this was going to come down to a little bit of the Ole Miss stuff, and I got to put this one up. I got to put this up here.
I know you do.
I got to put this up here because I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sick of seeing it. I think it's terrible for the game. I think it needs to be out of the game. And there was a clear and present danger call in this game for Kentucky and Ole Miss where a guy just took a dive. And I mean, come on now. There is no place for that in the game of college football. There has to be, you got to change the rules. You have to get that out of the game. And you have to throw a penalty on that crap. It'll stop. I've heard people fine them, toss them out of the game. That crap's bull crap. Throw a flag. If you get a 15-yard penalty for doing that shit, they won't do it.
Nah. Brad, listen.
Jason, it happened. It happened in your game.
Yeah, I saw it. Everybody in the country saw it. But let's just be honest, Brad. We're not the only ones who do it. We just happen to get caught on national TV. Everybody does it. Everybody fakes an injury.
I didn't say you're the only ones. I said it needs to be out of the game.
Well, they started taking timeouts. I've noticed during certain parts of the game, they started taking injury timeout. No matter what the injury is, so that's part of it. But you can't control all of it, and it didn't work. Put it like this: it didn't work, Brad. It didn't work.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10. You see it when a team's on defense. You don't see it with the damn quarterbacks turn around and be like, that's a damn insane play. That's insane.
Strategy, my
What the
friend.
crap?
Strategy.
Did Lane just not like the offensive play call? Lane didn't like the offensive play call. That's what it was.
Let me call Lane right quick. See what that was, man. Hold on right quick.
I guarantee
not
that's
answering
what it was. I'm gonna call Lane and ask him, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
I don't know if he had any more timeouts or anything. Or
come
whatever
on now. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Absolutely.
That was one of those come on, man moments. You're right. That was one of those come on, man.
Exactly. Come on, man. All right. Here's another one real quick for you guys. I said this earlier. There are 19 teams remaining that's undefeated in college football after Utah lost late Saturday night. There are 19 teams left, and 4 of those are in the SEC. You get Texas, Alabama, Missouri, and Tennessee that remain undefeated through week 5 in the SEC. My question to both of you, I'd like to hear both of you's answers. Do any of the SEC teams finish the regular season undefeated?
No.
And how many?
I think there's
Hammonds, what do you think?
I think there's maybe 2 left because Missouri's still got to go to Alabama. And Missouri has not looked that great. Tennessee this weekend is a possible game that I've been looking at with Arkansas. It could be a challenge. There's 2 or 3 games there down the road that could be challenging for some of these teams. But if I had to say, it'd probably be 2. I would probably bank on Texas and Alabama more than I would Missouri and Tennessee. Tennessee's got a
So you think 2 teams?
Yeah, I think Tennessee's got a rougher schedule than these other 2 teams do. Tennessee still got to play Georgia. They still got to play Alabama. They still got to play a decent defense in Kentucky. Yeah. There's still some games there where Tennessee could drop. And now Missouri still I think they only get Alabama, which I still think that's going to be a tough game in Tuscaloosa. But if I had to bank on it, I think it would be Texas and Alabama. But even those 2, Texas still got to play Georgia. So it's still up for grabs. It's still early. So, but no, I only think 2 probably. If I'm being honest, only 2 end up being undefeated. Maybe 1, maybe Texas. I don't know.
I don't believe Texas will go undefeated. I think the only team.
Okay, right Jason.
Now, I think there's 2 teams, Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama and Tennessee.
See, I don't know. Tennessee still has
unless they meet each other.
Tennessee still has a tough schedule because they got to go to Georgia. They play out, which they do get Alabama and Knoxville.
They do play each other. So,
but still, it's that to me, and they still got to play a decent Kentucky team that is playing really good defense right now.
I just think Alabama has a couple of guys that it's hard to match up with. I mean, you can play zone all day, you can play cover 0, but those wide receivers for Alabama, along with the running back Miller, can possibly be the best running back in the nation with the ball. You know, I mean, like I told y'all before, Alabama's still Alabama. Now give me another year or 2, and then you would let the new coach recruits get in, and you will see what Alabama is. Alabama still has Nick Saban player for the next 2 years. That 3rd year, we really gonna know. So Alabama's still gonna be right there.
Yep, I agree with you. Now, so I asked how many. I think if there is an SEC team that is undefeated, I think it'll just be 1. I think the SEC might have 1. And if it is, I firmly believe that it's either going to be Texas or Alabama. I think one of those 2 could run through and be undefeated. Texas, outside of the Georgia game, I think, has a relatively easy schedule outside of the Georgia game. So if they could get that one, I think they have a shot. And the Bama, they just look really, really solid, really good so far. And it wouldn't surprise me if Bama goes into Knoxville and beats Tennessee. That's where I'm at right now anyway. So I think maybe one of those two teams could run the table. Now, I'm going to kind of switch this up, Jason. I want your input on this one as well a little bit. The Pac-12 today announced Gonzaga is going to join the Pac-12 early this morning. Gonzaga is going to join them in July 1st, 2026. They are the 8th team, but they do not play football, so they still got to add at least one more football school for the college football playoffs. They got to have at least 8 football schools. But, Jason, I wanted to ask you, I think this Gonzaga team joining this new Pac-12 is the biggest market name, biggest brand name that the Pac-12 could get out there. And I think this is actually going to help them bring money in, landing Gonzaga. What do you think?
No doubt. I think we kind of talked about this last time, and we kind of called it. Said Gonzaga probably was going to Gonzaga, and Mount St. Mary might follow them in as well. But with Gonzaga going, because man, they're on the West Coast, it only made sense for them to join a bigger conference and to up the stakes. But I'm agreeing with you, Brad. I think this would lead to a lot of big money in that conference with Gonzaga joining. And I said, I think they're still going to bring in one more, but it was a good look. And it was funny when it came across my phone, I said, man, we called it. That was going to be something that Gonzaga pretty much had to do because, like I said, they were too big for that conference. I think Mark Few has done so many great things over the past couple of decades. So he had, and for the school as well, moving up, getting more money, getting more exposure, not just playing those late, because Gonzaga doesn't come on to about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And if you like me, I'm almost sleeping around that time. I'm trying to turn the TV up loud just to watch the game or try to catch the replay the next day. But I think this is a good move.
Yeah, and to your point, there is some early talks with St. Mary's and Grand Canyon, the two teams that I said they should go after. So maybe there's some, those might land too, which would be great for basketball, women's basketball, baseball for that conference out in the Pac-12. I think those are fantastic ads. Now, they still need some football, John. And for you, I want to ask this. And Jason might want to chime in at the end of this. I know that Memphis and Tulane and UTSA in South Florida told them no last week. But does Gonzaga change that? And do you think the Pac-12 should go back to them because they still need some football schools?
I think you
and
do.
If you could add Memphis, South Florida, and Tulane,
I think you have to for
basketball. I think, do they go back to them? I think they should. What do you think?
I think you have to for basketball because, you're going to bring Memphis in there, which is getting better every year under Penny. Then you have Tulane.
I think it's a must.
You got Tulane. It's an up-and-coming program. Even South Florida, they improved from a year ago. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, ain't Florida Atlantic in there? Isn't Florida Atlantic?
They're in the AAC. Yeah, they are.
I would put Florida Atlantic.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you're probably going to have to move them for the football aspect of it because they got football too. So, but I think overall you should at least get the idea that Memphis and them, Tulane, UTS, give them a call again, because UTSA in basketball has improved so much over the last couple of years. And you put them along with Gonzaga and, you put them with San Diego State, Memphis, you're talking about a pretty daggone good conference in basketball. Every year getting some rivalries together, which Gonzaga and San Diego State has had a really good rivalry the last couple of years, playing some games out of conference. So, and now you get them in together. Now that they're in the same conference, you get that rivalry again with them. So, I think it's a possibility you could do that. I think they need another call to them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they already tried.
I think so, Jason.
I think they tried with UNLV in Nevada. Didn't UNLV tell? I think UNLV told them no, right? If I'm not mistaken.
To both you guys' point, I think
UNLV's locked in.
With Gonzaga coming over, I think that is a little more eye-keen. Gonzaga is always one of those top teams that makes a deep run in March basketball-wise. And so that would probably change a couple minds. Like, hey, Gonzaga's over here. Now it looks a little bit more appealing. If you was comparing cars, hey, I didn't want another Escalade, but hey, I like this Lamborghini.
And the TV market's going to be greater.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
It always.
I mean, absolutely. That TV market
exactly
going to be greater. So, talking about basketball, we got Jared Murphy here talking about this Pac-12 for basketball. I got a little tidbit for you guys I want to throw out there real quick before we move on to the next subject here. But there's 8 teams now in this Pac-12. All right. Made the NCAA tournament in basketball last year in 2024. 6 of the 8 teams. Now, here's my little tidbit. The last time the old Pac-12, all 12 of the teams that left, 10 teams that left, the last time that the old Pac-12 had more than 5 teams, so the 8 teams out of the Mountain West and Oregon, Washington State, and Gonzaga had 6. Like basketball conference, this is shaping up to look pretty good.
You're breaking up, Brad.
And that's why I think you should give Memphis a call again. I am. Okay. But I think that's why you should give Memphis a call again.
Yeah, I do too. I'm good, Brandon. Is Mindy here?
All right. So, Jason, you might be heading out. And if you are, I wanted to give you a chance to say something about this before you take off. I wanted to give you a chance. Yesterday, Dikembe Mutombo passed away. And Jason, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about Dikembe. I know everybody talks about his NBA stuff, but he was a great player for Georgia.
Man, yeah, Brad, man, Dikembe Mutombo was like they were describing all over the internet today and all over the newscast last night. That he was bigger than life. He's the epitome of putting your money where your mouth is. You're talking about a great man who built a hospital in his homeland of Congo for the people to receive treatment, man. You talking about somebody building a hospital, that right there is something. I had the privilege of, I didn't get a chance to meet him, but I was in the same gym with him because at the time, my oldest son, and his son were actually playing against each other in Atlanta. And so when he walked in, I was like, who is that? Never mind. He walked in, 7-footer with a suit on. I knew who it was, because his son was out there playing. His son at the time, I don't know if he committed to Georgia Tech at the time or not. But, man, just a guy, man, who's a real angel, a real God sent human being. He loved people, and all the stories that I hear or I've heard about him, man, it's not too many people who can say too many bad things about him. You know, as men, we always catch flack for all our shortcomings, but no one ever talks about the things that we do that actually mean something. And so it's good to hear stories about a man who not only was an ambassador, the first global ambassador for the NBA, but he was a young man. He was a man that, like I said, he put his money where his mouth was, and he took care of his people. And you know, as men, that's what we aspire to do. We're here to inspire and uplift other people so that they can become great. And I think his foundations and all things that he was a part of, man, it opened up the doors for the next generation of people to come across those waters to come to the NBA, even to play college. You know, so he's one of those trailblazers that did it way back when in Georgetown, and you can see fruits of his labor and work that he's done. And hey, we lost a good one, but you know, like they say, man, God gained another angel.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said. I thought, you know, maybe at some point in time with your basketball past, you may have been able to cross paths with him somewhere along the line. So I wanted to kind of give you the stage there and talk about him. I think in my time, Jason, I think he's the best shot blocker I've ever seen.
Yeah, one of the best. I didn't get a chance to see Wilt. You know, they said Wilt had unbelievable timing, but you're right. From what I've seen, yeah.
Well, I didn't see him. I'm saying that I've seen.
Yeah,
that I've seen.
exactly.
Yes,
exactly. I agree 1,000% with you. Someone who took that up on the chin and protected the rim and kept doing it over and over year after year. So, you know, it's one of those guys, a trailblazer. Yeah, no. Even got a commercial. Now you know you somebody when you get a commercial and you can just do the no. Yeah.
No.
I know you guys gonna
Not
go,
today.
Man. Not today. I'm out.
Not in my house.
I will make sure that I'm watching it. And if Kentucky loses, guarantee I'm gonna be blowing y'all phone up. Talking about it was rigged. They just want to play one game. They just want to beat Ole Miss. So I'm out.
They don't play this week. We gotta buy this week, Jason.
Well, it's gonna be next week. Whenever they play, if they better win,
man.
They better win. All right, guys.
All right, man. All right. Jason's leaving, and we've got Mindy sitting here waiting for us. So I'm going to get to her, and we are.
It's time now for Ace in the Hole with Lady Luck, Mindy.
Hello.
Hey, Mindy, how are you this week?
I'm doing well. My computer was a little slow. It was hard cranking out today. I think it's getting close to getting cold around here.
Well, mine's a little slow. I think I have too much on mine, so mine's a little slow tonight as well. So you just join the crowd because I think I need to delete some stuff on mine. I think so. It is what it is. I got to take the time to do that.
Right.
But we're glad you're here. Stuff on it.
I'm glad you had me back.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. It's always great to see you come on. Mindy is a handicappers, and we appreciate her coming on Tuesday nights and doing Ace in the hole. She brings us 3 to 5 bets each week. And let's talk about last week for just a second, Mindy. I know on the Washington State Boise State thing, I mentioned you might be wrong on that one, and I have to say I was right on that one at least.
That's right.
I do remember that one. What was some of the others that you had? Did you have some winners?
I didn't have very many winners. How about that? I don't remember what I had. That's something I should do is keep my stuff because that's important. I might have it around here somewhere. But yeah, I had a rough time. It was with Washington State, right? So you told me that one was a no-go. And then, my upset. It was I had Louisville, and they wound up coming up a little bit short on the upset. They lost by the touchdown.
So if you think that I'm going to be happy and something I really want,
that's right.
And then the end,
all right. So have you done
something I really
a little research for us for this week?
Yeah, I got a little bit here for you. So we'll see how it goes with these early opening lines here this week. All right. Ready for this? I feel like I'm hearing an echo. Is it TV?
This is the third phone, and it's already set up.
I like the size of this.
No, we're good.
Did you like this room? You really
I don't know.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I feel like I'm hearing feedback like you're talking. But anyway, it's going to be Clemson.
But, is
What's
there a
that?
TV on? I hear like a TV or something.
Yeah, me too. Oh, TV. We found it, I think. All right. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the first one here. Clemson versus Florida State. I guess we're going to go ahead and take a look at it. I think Clemson, they're coming in smoking hot. 40-14 over Stanford there. The Seminoles, I don't know what kind of world they're living here in right now, but SMU just totally kicked their butt. And I don't know if it's going to be anything any different here for this Florida State team. It's like the Cinderella story might have just left the building. I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to take Clemson. I'm going to lay the 14.5 points. Again, I feel like this is a big routing again by Clemson.
That one. I don't really have anything bad to say about that pick. I think that's going to be I don't even think it's going to be a fun game to watch, to be honest with you.
Right.
I really don't. All right.
Man, I'm struggling. Maybe I'll just keep going. But I'm having a hard time hearing. We're going to go ahead and take my lock. It's going to be this Iowa-Ohio State game. I'm going to go ahead and go over this total of 44.5. This is the lock. Over. I don't even know really why a lot of folks are, talking about Iowa, but I predict scores, right? So we got 24.2 for Iowa, 40.2 for Ohio State. I just think this is going to be a big old whooping by the Buckeyes. I'm going to go over this total.
All right, John, do you want to talk since I'm messing up so much? Go ahead.
No, I'm good. I mean,
he said, no, I'm fine.
What's your upset pick of the week?
All right. The upset pick of the week is going to be Missouri versus Texas A&M. That means I am on Mizzou in this one. I'll take the plus 2.5 here. Tigers kind of barely squeaked by. Then there's Texas A&M that had the close one. But look at all this stuff. I got lots of advantages here if we take a look at it on paper. Points scored per game, advantage Missouri plus 6.5. Points against per game, Missouri minus 6 points. Total yards per game, advantage Missouri. Passing yards per game, rushing yards per game. And the big one here, third down efficiency percentage. Missouri 16% higher on third down. I'm going to go ahead and take the upset with Mizzou.
Sounds good this week.
Okay, well, good.
I like that pick, actually.
Yeah, they too.
I do like that one.
All right, well, good. Well, good.
I will ask
I like
you,
that pick. So do you have?
I kind of want to.
Do you have any more for us this week?
I don't. It's hard for me to get going this early in the week, but it's one of those that I also didn't want to do Friday night because I like to sit around and drink and watch TV. So that's what happens is I have to come a little bit earlier in the week. So I have to get going quicker from Friday, Saturday. I gotta get moving to get these picks ready to go on Tuesday.
I do want to ask you a quick question.
Sure.
And this is not college ball, but who's your NFL pick upset of the week this week? I'm just curious.
Upset of the week. Oh, I thought you were going to tell me my fave.
No, you're
about my
upset.
fave, I really like. I love the Buccaneers, but let me go ahead. That's like my fave on Thursday night. I love the Buccaneers. Let me go back to NFL for my upset. One moment. What do we got here? I'm looking. I have to find an upset, right? Well, geez, it kind of looks like the Colts might be a good upset. Jaguars are laying -3. I could take the Colts to win outright on that one. What else do I got?
I was hoping you picked Dallas this week.
I just haven't made it to Dallas because they were the 7:20 game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know why I don't think there's any reason why the Cowboys can't beat the Steelers. At all.
I was just wondering. That's all. But
yeah, but I think the Saints might give the Chiefs a little bit of trouble, though.
Yeah. But I was just curious.
Yeah.
How you run the college and pros? I was just curious.
Yeah.
The Chiefs ain't lost one for a while.
Yeah.
What's that? What did he say?
What'd you say, Brad?
I said the Chiefs haven't lost.
Oh no, they're undefeated. Yep.
They are undefeated. Yes. The good thing is that the Saints have to play the Chiefs at home. So if you're gonna play a team that I think could get back into form pretty easy, because I don't necessarily think those first 2 weeks were a fluke, but then they kind of didn't do much there, versus the Falcons. So it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back from that. But the Chiefs are kind of decimated right now. They got to get their act together with these injuries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to get my, I need to get my NFL going.
All right,
too.
Mindy, we appreciate you being with us tonight and bringing us some betting picks.
I always appreciate Mindy.
Yay! Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys.
She gets her own introduction.
It is the best thing on live sports.
Yeah.
The intro. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right, you guys.
Mindy,
have a good one.
We will
Take
see
care.
you next week.
You too, Mindy.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. So
Are you there? Can't hear a word you're saying.
I'm not as I know.
Yeah.
Can I please have your attention? There's all a commotion around here.
What are you talking about?
It's actually very exciting.